Just showing you the sheet. I missed it. Okay. So the last topic we ended earlier, we did port redirection, where I showed you what is port redirection. You are trying to map a server with the same IP addresses. That is, multiple server getting mapped with same IP addresses to save the IP addresses on static NAT, because I told you static NAT is one-to-one mapping. Okay. And so TCP uh, port number, telnet port number can be same. Both the servers are having different services. So the original port number and the map port number is also same. Okay. But in case of if you want to change the port number also, you can. So port redirection is the term actually. Why it is called port redirection? Because we are playing with the ports, and secondly we are also saving an IP address by mapping single IP address to multiple servers, one public address or multiple servers. Okay. And also playing with the ports. If you really don't want original port number to be exposed, you can also map them with some other port numbers. Okay. Last time we did twice NAT with PAT, where I showed you that you have two different LANs, like you have one single source, multiple destination, or one single LAN or multiple LANs, and you want multiple public IPs to be mapped. So I created HR LAN for 10.0 network, and suppose there is a network called 10.1.30 for DMZ, that is HR network, and you want to map this with some public IP address. Okay. So whenever this LAN try to reach this, you want it to get mapped with this. Whenever IT LAN want to reach, the same thing we'll see with a different scenario. Okay. So I just created one scenario. 1 minute. Okay. So if you consider this scenario, I last time also I told you it's a policy NAT, where there is a policy that if you are trying to visit, I'll just show you the configuration. If I'm trying to visit a particular source from here, I want the firewall should NAT this with different IP address for, and if this fellow goes there, different addresses. Okay. At the same time, there is one more option that is called, okay, I just took this diagram from the net. So identity NAT. Now again, this is also a new term that you should know, that also known as NAT exemption. Now identity NAT initially came in those days when we start on ASA before 8.4 version, IS version. Identity NAT was actually used for there is a case where you have a server, and like I told you, that time NAT was not Earlier the NAT was compulsory, then they made it like you can go with NAT control command. Once you go with that NAT control command, you are actually forcing your firewall to do NAT, like in any direction. Like anytime a traffic is going from inside to outside, NAT is compulsory. Anytime if the traffic is going from inside to DMZ, also NAT compulsory. Anytime if there is a remote VPN and the user is trying to enter into your LAN network and trying to access the server, NAT is compulsory. So you see every time that, because actually the command was NAT control. So NAT control means I am telling my firewall, boss, don't allow anyone to go from any interface to any interface without NATing. That's all. So that time, like we used to go for NAT 0 or NAT exemption. Okay, now also we can do NAT exemption for our remote users, where we are telling my firewall that don't do NAT for these users. They are our users and they are coming from outside, they are trying to visit the server. So at least exempt them from NATing. So in those days, we used to do NAT exemption for, suppose this is my own router, okay, and this is my syslog server. Might be he is in DMZ or in LAN, suppose anywhere you have kept it. Now see, if it is a NAT control, what will happen if my R1 want to send any log to any of these server? I need compulsorily this server to get NATed with some IP address, because I told you, there is a NAT control. So I told you there is a NAT control where the firewall will not allow R1 to send any logs to come on either in LAN or in DMZ, because they are going to come from 0 to 100. So definitely there will be a policy, but after doing policy also he is not going to allow these logs to come in, because these are the servers and NAT control will force or tell ASA that don't allow anyone to come on private IP address. That means unnecessary I have to do NATing for or NAT for this syslog server with some public IP address, because one-to-one mapping, no? So I have to use one IP address unnecessarily for this syslog server. See, initially we keep dustbin at home. Now dustbin is for our users, no? Home users. And we don't need this dustbin for neighbors, no, or any roadsiders. We don't keep this dustbin for roadsiders or neighbors. We keep this dustbin for our, whatever paper or whatever garbage we have at home, we want to put it there. So who's going to come on this? Who's going to throw this garbage? We, as a family people, from our own house. We are not going to throw our garbage in somebody's house. So syslog server is an exception. It's an example I'm telling you. Exceptional server where you need all the logs from your own premises to gather or come in. So if my own premises or own devices logs are coming in, okay, if they are coming in from inside to DMZ, or if they are coming from DMZ to inside, or if they are coming from R1 to or switch to this server, if there is a control, they can't come. So in those, for that purpose, there was a term called NAT exemption. So identity NAT means actually you're translating your own server or server with the same IP address. That means the real address is also same and the map address is also same. You don't need a public address, because all this time NAT is nothing but what? Translating your private into public. No, many times you see people, they are private into public, but actually there are three reasons that you should always remember. No doubt you are trying to conserve or trying to preserve the public addresses you want to safeguard, because there is a crunch of IPv4 address. Forget about IPv6, because IPv6 you don't have NAT, no NAT. IPv6 is transition rich, dual stack, security is also there, IPsec is mandatory. So a lot of good features you have attached with IPv6. But there also they designed private and public. If you can see, global unicast address, that is public address, unique local, link local, that is kind of a PIPA and kind of a private address. So definitely no NAT in IPv6, but if you consider IPv6, we are trying to save it. So if you're trying to save it, we want to save for this particular server. Why we want to waste an IP for this slug server? So what is identity NAT? You're translating this server with the same IP address, like, just following the formality. It's just a formality that yes, we're telling ASA that this is the server we want to. He is not going to differentiate between private and public. He is just going to follow the rule. What is the rule? That this is the real address, this is the mapped address. So you say, okay, this is the real, this is the mapped. Okay, he don't differentiate between private and public. He's following the rule. And NAT exemption is a kind of a feature, like, it is attached with the term NAT exemption. Right? Ultimately, you are doing what? You are exempting your NAT. Okay. So you might have a NAT configuration which you want to translate an IP address to itself. For example, if you create a broad rule that applies NAT to every NAT, but want to exclude one network or one particular server from NAT, you can create a static NAT rule to translate an address to itself. Identity NAT is necessary for remote access VPNs, I told you, because here we want to exempt the clients which are coming from outside, because remote VPN is nothing but our own LAN users going out on a official trip or on a vacation also, and they want to remain connected with the companies. Like if I'm a collaboration guy, and if I want to get in touch with my call manager from vacation, like I'm on vacation and want to access my call manager, definitely I need some security, because wherever I'm going to get easily internet. So whenever I'm going anywhere, I'm getting easy internet. I just get connected to my laptop and trying to access my call manager, or you can say my CUCM. But see, the whole company's call routing is there in that call manager. So I don't want to play with its security. So I want to access it through remote VPN. So when I'm becoming part of that LAN, though I am physically out, but though I am physically out, logically I am becoming part of the LAN, getting an IP address to get an access to this server. I should get exempted, because there the rule should not follow, because the rule is like anybody who's trying to access from inside to outside or inside should get should get translated. So identity NAT is like, more of a kind of where you're trying to exempt, or you're trying to fool your ASA, or making a formality like yes, we are translating it to some IP. That means we are using the same IP. So I just created an object, some name, and I said, okay, this is my server. Okay, where is this server? According to our diagram, it's a DMZ. Which IP address I want to NAT? Same IP address. Okay. So this is the way where you can NAT your own, okay, server with the same IP address. That is possible. We'll see it, how it is done. So whenever you're trying to send some logs from R1, definitely you need a policy, and at the same time these logs will come in and hit the R file. R1 knows now this is the server and this is getting translated, and Especially, see, I told you this kind of things were very useful in those days when we used to teach NAT before 8.4. More interesting because NAT control was there, forcing the ASA. That is why I skipped this topic. But still, just for your knowledge, if you are really want to know each and everything about the NAT, just tell you that this is kind of an identity NAT where you're trying to exempt. Okay, so I will show you when we do remote VPN how we are going to exempt these users from NAT with the help of NAT feature also. Okay, so I hope you guys understood what is. I'll show you, configure and show you. Okay, there is one more example that the diagram was available. It's a good diagram I saw, where you see that identity NAT is how you configure with the NAT exemption. Now this is again kind of a policy NAT also you can call it. Okay, where you see there is a policy that if this is the source and if this is the destination, there is a tunnel here. A tunnel is ultimately safe. There might be a side-to-side tunnel between two locations. You can have a side-to-side tunnel between firewall and a router, or between two firewalls. So if this is the source and if this is the destination, that is my branch, and I know that there is a tunnel between them, I can send this traffic as it is. No, I don't need any translation. Why I need a translation? Though it is on internet, but there is a tunnel. So if the traffic is going inside the tunnel, definitely there will be an encapsulation. And what is done when you have an encapsulation is nothing but wrapping up of data and wrapping up of the packet. So IPsec headers are going to be added, and there will be always the tunnel endpoints IP address going to be added. So tunnel endpoints address might be some public address which will be added as a source and the destination, and tunnel will be formed. So identity NAT is how you configure what is known as NAT exemption. The concept of this certain traffic to be exempt from address. Like here, you want this traffic to be exempted when it is going at this particular location, but at the same time you want him to get NATed when it is going for this particular server on internet, because there is no tunnel here. So here there is an ASA with generic dynamic path which translate the entire network. Like dynamic path is the term, like we did it, dynamic NAT and dynamic path. Dynamic NAT was simple, like many to many. Dynamic path is many to one or many to interface, where we have a crunch of IP address. So we're just taking one IP address and translating it, or interface. So that is called dynamic path. I told you, every time there's a different term that comes in. Dynamic path is nothing but same. So here there is a configuration where these users are getting dynamic path, okay, for the entire Seattle network with some public address. So they've given some IP address, okay, say 72 or 78, whatever. Whenever they're trying to reach internet, they'll get translated. So in according to this thing, okay, source is 10.1.1.0 or 77, and he's trying to visit this server who is 45.5.4.9. So 9, if you see the packet comes here, hits here, this guy is already configured for the translation that whenever the source is 10.1.1.77, it should get translated to 78.9.8.77, which is a public IP address, and this will remain same. So two different location, okay, one at one location the whole translation is exempted and send it like that only without any translation. But yes, so see again, it becomes a policy for the ASA that whenever this fellow comes in and tells you I want to go to this location, that is Denver, send him like that, don't translate, send him inside the tunnel, send him like that only, don't translate it, because in tunnel why you need public address, man? It will get encapsulated, only the public addresses will get as a header and footer on the encapsulation packet, don't need internal translation. Okay, let him send like that only. In case of if he is coming for some other locations, like possible, we normally we have a term called split tunnel also for this. We'll be doing VPN, so I'll show you how it works. So split tunnel is nothing but every time a person who is connected with the remote VPN, like with the client, that is any connect, also need internet to work simultaneously. Because see, once my PC get connected with the company's gateway, whose gateway? Firewall. This is called remote VPN gateway. Remote VPN gateway. Why it is called remote VPN gateway? Because he is going to take the load of the VPN. See, initially we are going to start the topic, and then from the next lecture, because the so if he joins, okay, otherwise we'll start. Somebody is joining for the VPN section. So if someone, if we are doing side to side, what happened? The intelligence is on the both the side. Like both the firewalls are taking the load. Like individually, they are working for forming a tunnel between two locations. That is called side to side tunnel or LAN to LAN tunnel. But when it comes to remote VPN, what happens? The load is taken by the single gateway, that is ASA on one side, because on the another side, you see there is a person who is might be non-technical person. I told you an example of collaboration guy. He knows only call manager. There might be a accountant or CA who's sitting with a client there and want to access his account server. He's a non-technical guy. So he don't know what is VPN. Only thing is he's clubbed with any connect client. So when he is in tunnel with this gateway, his traffic will always come inside the tunnel and go to the server or DMZ, whatever. Always. If the tunnel is formed, all the traffic will enter into the tunnel only. But now he wants to check some personal information at the same time, or he want to order some food. He's out, no? He want to order, so he want to visit internet. That time he want to send his traffic to the some other location. You don't want to send it to this tunnel. So he's having some policy where he can access this internet also. That's called split tunnel. Simultaneously in tunnel with ASA and then split. So why I'm telling you? Because now see, if he's visiting internet, definitely he need translation because he's carrying some private IP. No doubt the hotel he is sitting, he will take him to, he will do the translation and take him to internet. This is the hotel where he's sitting, and hotel might be carrying some Wi-Fi router. This fellow will take care of the internet. But in case of this thing is going to have a tunnel between ESA, and the tunnel traffic will come in. So whenever the traffic is coming from remote user, he will get some IP address from the pool created by ASA to make him the member of the LAN, and he will enjoy the same privileges what he was enjoying when he was physically present in the company. Though he is now physically not present, he is physically present somewhere else, some other country or some other city. But he is enjoying the same privilege with the help of the pool or with the help of the IP addresses which is getting from ASA. So ultimately, try to understand that identity NAT term as one meaning, like if you are translating your user with the same IP address. So that example is also there. I told you in those days when we used to say NAT control, firewall used to never allow anyone to go without translation, and that time we used to do this and do the translation. Just 1 minute, just 1 minute. Hello? Can you hear me now? Hello?
Yes.
Okay. So this is the example of source. This is nothing but source network 10.1.1.0, and direction is inside to outside. Inside means where is the network and when you want this to get translated. And what is the dynamic pat address? This is dynamic pat address. Why it is called dynamic pat address? Because you see there is a term called dynamic which is always used for LAN users. I am not using static, or the configuration is not using static term, and there is only one IP. So whenever you have one IP or interface command, it is dynamic pat. Okay. So next time don't get confused when somebody uses dynamic pat. So dynamic pat or dynamic with many to few, many to one, and many to interface always is also called dynamic pat. Okay. Because ultimately with one IP address or interface, it is definitely going to do what? Pat. Good thing about ASA, you don't have to give the overload command, which used to give it on routers. You used to give overload command. Here you don't have to give, it is automatically enabled. AutoNAT. If the object is Denver, then this is the subnet of that. See, he's creating source, he's creating destination. He's showing ASA that this is the source and this is the destination. So if this is the source and if this is the destination, that source is the name of the object and the destination is name of the object. Okay. Then this to be the pat address. Or if this is the source and this is the, okay. With the manual net. Acha, now next statement is, okay, we'll do it practically and we'll see. First we'll see this. If this is the source and this is the destination, how the packet goes translated. Object network LAN users subnet 192.168.10.0 255.255.255.0 NAT inside outside dynamic we will make a sort. So object network branch server host 172.16.10.2. One more server 2, 3. So see, when I say show run object, see now I created LAN users, I created one branch server and one object branch server 2. That means First one is 10.2, second one. If you see the diagram, I have two branch servers, 10.2 and 10.3, and I am having LAN users. Okay. Now I'm going to create the PAT address. Object network dynamic PAT 1 host 20.1.1.50 to 51. Show run object. We make a note here. NAT source dynamic HR LAN users is my source, and what you want in translation, that is the mapped address for source, this one. Destination static branch server and for real also I want that. So when I say show accelerate, it's not going to show. Control A, same, this time dynamic PAT 2 for LAN users, but this time the destination is branch server 1, sorry 2. So show run NAT. Source LAN users, in both the case, when they get natted, they'll be get natted with two different dynamic PAT 1. One is 20.1.1.50 and one is 20.1.1.51. Destination to a particular server mapped is also same. Let me just get ready with this server. Okay, this server host name is branch server 1. branch server 2 172.16.10.3 255.255.255.0 no shut IP default gateway 172.16.10.1 no IP routing. So 192.168.10.2 is trying to access 172.16.10.2 for telnet. This is the source port. Show accelerate. TCP PAT from inside. Who is the source? 192.168.10.2. Just 1 minute. Okay. If you see the NAT details, auto NAT policy, DMZ to outside. This is like, why DMZ is showing? Okay, this is earlier one because we have one more NAT also, static NAT. Time out now. Okay. So now we go and say, okay. You see, this is your policies where you have specified that any traffic which is going from inside to outside, source, dynamic, LAN users. Okay, this is the statement we have given. So there's two hits. Source origin is 190 to 168. It get translated into 50. Destination is this. Okay, I don't know. We have just kept this. It's like, if you remember, it's like, why I'm telling branch server, branch server. It's like inside local, inside global, and outside local and outside global. So you don't know what is the local address. So whatever outside local outside global address, that only as a outside local. So it is nothing but you are telling this is the local and this is the global, because you don't know what is actual local address. Suppose 172 is getting natted with some public IP. So if you want to send your traffic to that public server, definitely you don't know what is the private IP address. So you're just carrying the real as well as the translated one as same. It will be definitely public IP, yeah? If it is, you're sending the traffic from internet, no? So it won't be 172. That means you will be having some NAT policies here on R2 for all the traffic to come in. Okay. But I just skipped that NAT and I just showed you from this side, that is from ASA. So definitely it won't be 172. Okay. And okay. So now let's see if the same fellow or another fellow try to do telnet to 172.16.10.3. So axlate 51. Show NAT detail. If you see inside, this is always there because I have translated my server with some in my previous lecture for CCNP security. I just showed them NAT. So I just translated my server to 20.1.1.10. That is 10.1.1.2 get translated with this. So it is showing me this automatic NAT policy. Okay, static NAT, you can say simple static NAT. Here I'm using manual NAT policy. See, there's a one more term, manual NAT and auto NAT. Okay, so again, I said if this is the source and if this is the destination, get it translated with. So I told you, this is just one example where I'm trying to send the LAN users to two particular destination. I told you, you can, if you have two ISPs connected with ASA or router, you can plan it accordingly and you can translate it. I just showed you an example. You can fill your own things. Like here I made one HR LAN, DMZ LAN. Like I want to send the traffic from HR LAN to DMZ LAN, and I wanted to show like that. See, this is HR LAN, this is IT LAN. This is HR server, this is IT server. So if this fellow is trying to visit here, it should get netted with some IP address. If this fellow is visiting here, it should get netted with some other IP address. Ultimately, it is same. One source, multiple destination. How you get it netted? Okay. So I hope this example was clear. I will send you what I did and what was the output, how to see the output, show NAT detail. Dynamic NAT is seen only when there is a translation, but static NAT is always seen because it is static. Show accelerate command, always show static NAT. This is static NAT. Okay. And now we translated this with the same IP address, no? Outside NAT. Okay. We said destination static, branch 2 will be NATed with the branch 2 address only. So that is called outside NAT. This is in our control. This is for outside people. It's not in our control. Okay. I hope this is clear. Any question regarding this? Anyone? You can ask me. Just go through the video and the sheet I'm going to send. Okay. By tomorrow I'll send you NAT. So let's see how identity network. I told you the same IP address is getting translated with the same. I gave you an example where I'm having a syslog server. I want this to be NATed with the same IP addresses so that whenever the logs are coming from R1 should get logged in. Okay. See, if I don't do this, it's okay. Like initially, I feel it's of no importance now because there is no control now. My ASA will not say anything if if R1 sends this log. But I told you in the previous this thing iOS version, if you don't do NAT, my R1 will not be able to send the logs to this until unless my ASA NATs this server. R1 cannot send logs because R1 should know only the NATed IP. R1 will never know about its private IP address. But this is my server. But still, if you really want to hide your server, then you can do NAT also, proper NAT also. Like you don't want to show R1 the private IP address of the server also. Then you can do. Okay, you can NAT it. Like you don't want to expose your IP address even to the branches. You can NAT it. But I told you, identity NAT is something which you translate the same IP address for the same this thing, so that whenever somebody visits, it's visits. So let's see how it works, and I will show you how syslogs also get configured. I was having some just 1 minute. I'll install server. 1 minute. Huh? I will download Kiwi syslog server, install and see. Just give me 2 minutes. I'll install. I'll show you how it works. So this is my Kiwi syslog server. I installed it. Okay. Just stop this for 1 minute. I just save the configuration. Add a cloud. One zero two dot one. This is the configuration. You have to do it on firewall. So let's try. I made 192.168.102.1. So I have to say inside 192.168.102.1. So what I did, I activated my machine as a syslog server to capture all the logs. Okay. Show interface IP brief. Which interface is connected to this E3? Interface E3 IP address 192.168.102.10 255.255.255.0 no shut name if management security level 100 same security traffic permit enter interface. Let's ping 192. I think firewall is on 102.1. Ping 192.168.102.10. Okay. So you need to say logging on, logging host 192.168.102.1, where it is mgmt. What is the IP address of the server? So what we are doing? We are activating syslog server. That is my laptop acting as a syslog server. Okay. So we need to initiate command logging host management, who is the server, logging trap 7. You must be aware that when I say trap 7, actually it is 0 to 7. 0 is emergency, 1 is alert, second is critical. Okay. Then warnings, then notification, then information and debugging. So when you put a question mark, say E means emergency, E A C E W N I D. It's like that. E, you need to remember E A C E A C N I D. E means emergencies. A means alerts. Okay. then critical, errors, warnings, notification, informational, debugging, like that. If you say 7 means he is going to consider all the 7 traps. So when I say show run logging, it's going to show me that I activated this on this. What about R1? Let this R1 also send the logs to this server. Log logging, I out. Logging. Here it is logging enable, here it is logging on. Logging host 192.168.102.1 logging trap. See, he started sending also 514. Here also 7. Here again jumble up 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 7. You on all the trap. So we activated logging here. We want this router to send logs to this server. Here it is, my laptop whose IP address is 102.1, and we also activated ASA logs to be sent, but R1 logs will not come because the security level is 0. So we need to give this access list. Already there is a access list. We need to follow that same access list. Access list out dash in permit UDP any equal to syslog. So run access group. Let's see. It's recording the logs. Start the syslog services. Ping config T interface S1 by 0 shut. No shut. Let me check if we can ping also. 192.168.102.1. Access list out dash in permit ICMP any equal to echo. Yeah, firewall is on, so possible. Ping. 192.168.102.1 firewall is pinging. Just 1 minute. We need to add a route. Route, add mask 25.25.25.0. Gateway is 192.168.102.10. So now I can ping R1. Reachability is there. Let's see. Where's the console gone? Start or stop, and then start. What is the setup? Show access list. There is a hit count here. Show IP INT brief. Interface S1 by 0 shut. No shut. Show access list. Logs should come. Show run. Logging. This firewall is there. So run ping. Show access list. Ping is coming. 192.168.102 dot ping. Show interface IP brief. Interface E0. Shut. No shut. No activity. Filters. Action. TCP UDP. I don't know whether it is working or not. Normally it captures immediately. Whenever you do some activity, it should capture it. Shut. No shut. So config t interface. Shut. Messages are coming on firewall. Hits are coming. These hits are being sent to this server 192.168.2.1. I think this slug server is corrupt. Otherwise, see, firewall is receiving this. Okay. E3L also is a good one. I don't know. I was having this E3L. Anyway, so in this I also covered one topic called how to configure syslog on firewall and on router, and how to, now the question is how you're going to exempt this. Like the question is how you're going to exempt this syslog server, that is identity net. So you're going to create one object network, some name syslog host 192.168.102.1. Okay, so you just took the name. Okay, and then you said net dmg, sorry, mgmt outside static 192.168.102.1. Same. So when I say show accelerate, you can see my firewall accepts same IP address in the extension. Show IP int brief S1 by 0 shut. No shut. I think I closed it. Let's see once again after doing netting. Start. Shut. No shut. Trying to do telnet with 12.1.2. Some issue. Because you could have, this will stop the thing. Are you sure you want to do this? Start the services. Setup. Interface E0. Shut. No shut. S1 by 0 shut. No shut. I'm just trying to do some activity so that he captures. No, some issue. Show access list. It's a coming. Ping request is coming. Okay, we'll do one thing. Access list out dash in permit UDP any to come on object. What is the name of that object which we created? syslog. Show access list. Initially, you don't need all those things. Immediately, it record. I think this is slow. We'll see with ethereal next time. Syslog, object network syslog. So xlet. So run. Check. So this is also one of the example. I will write it down. Same thing. You need to create an object for two location. One is for Denver and one is for this location. Source will be always Seattle. So if this is the source, that is Seattle, and destination is Denver, I want the traffic should not get natted. That means it should be disabled. Okay. And if the source is Seattle and if the destination is any, like you are not sure any, because it's going on internet, then you want, that is why you have not mentioned the destination. You want this to be get translated with some public IP, that is 72.3.3.70. Okay. So this is how we can create lot of policies inside this. I hope you guys understood this. Okay. I'll make a proper sheet what we have done in the practical and I will send you. Okay. So we are starting from next lecture. We are starting VPNs. Okay. Still, you have any doubts in your previous topics? You can ask me anytime. Okay. So we'll end here only today. Okay. I also showed you how to configure syslog, how to configure syslog on R1, how to bring those log messages through ASA on this syslog. Okay. Thank you. Good night. We'll meet on, I think today is what? Monday. So we'll meet on Wednesday with the new topic VPNs. Okay. All of you please attend. Thank you. Bye. Good night.